Welcome to the Emotional Fitness Gym podcast, episode 3, the behavioral lens, emotional fitness. So stop taking it personally. The extended is way to reduce friction and help you connect. It's a tool for self-awareness, relationship, and leadership under pressure. In episode 3, the listener will understand extended disc and behavioral preference, not identity labels, and learn the basic quadrant model plus the 4 energies. Following on from session 2, we're looking at episode 3 with energies S and I, the steadiness and the influencer energy. They'll be able to spot their likely default energy under pressure, recognize what each energy tends to need from others, and practice one flex behavioral pattern for better connection. So
And
I
a
thought,
lot of,
sorry, Valerie, go for it.
I was going to say, a lot of disconnection isn't a lack of love, it's a lack of translation.
Yeah. And extended disc gives you the translation, especially with S and I energy. Welcome. I'm Brent, Lindsay.
And I'm Valerie Andrews.
And our show promises to stay steady, moving people from reactive survival to self-led performance, deeper connection, and a purpose-aligned life through emotional fitness training.
And today we continue our discussion around extended disc, and we're focusing on the 2 energies of the steadiness and the influencer.
And like last time, this is behavioral intelligence, not identity labeling. It's how you tend to behave, especially under pressure, and what you tend to do to get your needs met.
And just a quick safety note also, in a human way, this is education and coaching conversation. It's not therapy. So if anything brings up anything heavy for you today, just pause, take care of yourself, and consider reaching out to a qualified professional or trusted support.
Yeah, it's so important. And why this matters now. A lot of people are in relational exhaustion, not because they don't care, but because they're misreading each other's stress. One person wants warmth, another wants space. One wants words, and another wants steadiness. And everyone thinks their way is right.
Yeah, interesting. An extended disc restores curiosity. It helps you stop personalizing behavior and start seeing patterns so you can respond instead of reacting.
Yeah, a framework quickly. We'll go over the quadrant model, a different pace, different focus.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because, we can have the fast pace or the slow pace. We can have people focused or task focused. And the 4 energies exist in everyone: the dominant, the influencer, the steadiness, and the compliant. But today it's about the steadiness and the influencer we're going to discuss.
Mm. And we'll teach them with the same scaffold what it is, why it matters, and how it shows up. Misunderstanding and reframe. And one micro action for you to take away.
Yeah. The influencer is expressive, they're social, they're inspiring, they're more people focused, and they're often faster paced. Yeah.
Right. Well, just tell me more.
Okay. So how they see the world is relational. The energy matters, opportunity flows through people.
Yeah. So why does this matter?
Well, the influencer brings morale, engagement, creativity, connection. It can lift a room and it can build momentum through relationships.
So like the person who walks into a meeting and suddenly everyone's awake. Hello, I'm here.
Exactly. And they're like a social accelerant. They create movement through connection.
Yeah. The party started. I'm here.
Something like that.
Yeah. So how it shows up? How does it like show up in communication for them?
Yeah. So you'll always connect through stories, their warmth, their optimism. They can go wide, they brainstorm out loud as well.
And if you're a C or a D, you can hear that as too much. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it's often how the influencer thinks. They speak to discover the point.
Oh, okay. So decision making.
Yeah. They decide with feelings plus possibilities. They often need interaction to clarify their thinking.
Right. Okay. And what about conflict for them?
Yeah, many of the influencers are smooth at first, but under stress, they can overtalk, they get scattered, or they can get emotionally intense to regain that social control.
Right. To regain social control. And I'm sure that we can all
Mm,
sort of connect to that one in the part of us.
yeah.
Okay, so here's a big one. Well, I'm always so interested in this because the values sort of outline the person, as you could say. What are the values of the influencer?
Yeah. Well, I'd have to say connection is their number one value, connecting with others. Recognition is another, and freedom, and as well as expression.
Yeah, it's also you can just see them in the middle of a group with all the attention.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what are the stresses of the influencer?
Well, sometimes they feel ignored, especially in the cold environments. Um, they can they can have excessive detail without meaning, so have tight constraints. So under stress, they can avoid the hard tasks or overpromise and overdeliver.
Right. I can see their struggle in that one. So what are the influencers' needs then, Valerie?
Well, they definitely need engagement and acknowledgement, and a sense that you're with them on their journey instead of separate.
Right, so it's a bit of a connection, about a group, over task, you'd say is like the D or C energy. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, correct.
So
Yeah.
what's the I's common misunderstanding?
People think the influencer is shallow because sometimes they talk about themselves as well instead of the data and the facts. So that's probably a misunderstanding.
Okay, so if you were going to reframe that in just common, simple, language for our listeners to understand?
Yeah. So the influencer is, well, I guess the relational strategy is the growth edge is to ground and definitely follow through. So even though they might be talking about themselves, just take it back to the other person
Right, that's
as
great.
well.
That's great advice. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we'd be too busy in our amazement to actually think about other people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Valerie, what's the micro action?
Okay. So if you are in the I energy, pick one promise and complete it today. Just one. Because if you're speaking to an I energy, connect first and then anchor the next step clearly and say, I'm with you. Here's what we're doing next. So they've got the clear steps next.
Yeah, and the connection. Yeah, I'm getting
Mm,
that. And if you're a C listening to an I, don't punish enthusiasm. Ask for one clear action and one timeline.
yeah, correct. And I'm the I energy, definitely in the mix, and as well as the S energy. And we're going to now talk about the steadiness energy. So our listeners have an idea around what that means too.
Yeah, S is the steadiness, right? Calm, patient, supportive, more people focused, slower pace, stability. They need harmony and collaboration. And S is the higher percentage of the population, aren't they, Valerie?
Yeah, from memory, yes, they are the higher population. Um, and how they see the world is as a network that should feel stable. Safety matters and predictability matters as well.
Why does it matter?
Because the steadiness brings consistency. They're very loyal and they follow through. So, and calm as well. So the steadiness is often the stabilizer in teams and families.
Right.
Um,
And I can see
yeah.
this. Yeah. And can listeners, can't we identify the people that we know that are S's, always taking care of us? So
Oh, 100%.
yeah, yeah. So the the steady S. So I've got to get my tongue untied. Their communication style.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're very warm. They're measured and they're attentive as well. They're often understated because they listen deeply as well.
Yeah, and they're calmer and quieter. Yeah, I'm getting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm seeing that. So the decision making stuff.
Yeah, they consider impact on other people. They decide after reflection and
Mm.
consistency over sudden change is what they prefer.
Steadiness. So I can definitely see that they're living in their name.
Yeah.
So the S's value, their value stack. What do they lead with?
Yep. Definitely harmony, loyalty, and reliability is something they do. If there's conflict, they actually under stress they can withdraw, silence, and people please as well. So very that quiet resentment.
Mm. Yeah, that's so harmony, loyalty, and reliability is their values and the stresses. So what's the stresses?
So yeah, the stresses are sudden change, aggression, being rushed, lack of reassurance. So under stress, they can comply without consent and then they'll feel trapped
Yeah, so I mean,
as well.
let's just do segue on this one a little bit. Like with you're an I, and then I'm the D. I'm very like, get it done. What do you mean you haven't finished reading? And you're like, can I need to read it 3 times? And that was a big shift between when I heard you needed me to be slower, and then you heard me saying you needed directness. So you would say space or give me some time, or I need to think about that. And you would frame what you needed, and then I was able to give that because I was, oh well, that's just the cause to the outcome. Um, so that was actually a real life example there, listeners. To
Yeah, it was. And that was in the steadiness, more so because it's it's an energy that takes a little bit of time to understand what's going on
Mm.
and that reassurance, that safety in the relationship that everything's okay, even if there is tension as well.
Yeah, so would you say that I'm a master coach. I've coached many people, but I'm fast, right? I have a certain sort of leader that I help.
Yeah.
But would you say that the more that I recognized like the above sort of the little shifts that we're doing, you felt more safe to open up to me?
Oh, 100%. And I think my own life experience
Mm,
before getting to know you has really helped in that sense as well. Because being around the dominant energy can be quite intimidating or confronting if you're the S energy. So the steadiness energy can feel very confronted in that energy style. Um, However, it's about understanding that not to take things personally, like we've titled
mm.
the this show. It's about understanding their traits and who they are as a person. And to be fair, also, Brent, you've softened a lot more and you've got to know my style and you've slowed down a lot more
Mm, mm,
in my presence, which is
mm.
a massive growth
Yeah, it was all
in.
a part of becoming regulated. I mean, with my issues, and but how I was, I guess, able to do that, was what we were talking about here, creating that space, and I allowed the hearing, and then from that, I've really been doing all these things have been happening. So the more slower and calmer, the more like elevate. So we sort of by, I guess, listeners, but we're trying to in this little offshoot here. It was a real life sort of situation where the S felt safe and the D created space. and created more connection. Where normally it's the S feels pressure and the D is like frustrated. But because we were the E disc and we will understand this, we communicated it, which is what the C needs to do. So we're just putting all these different energy flexes in, which creates more emotional fitness. And here we are with the Emotional Fitness podcast, bringing it to you to have more emotional flexibility in your life. So let's keep going. So Valerie, what are you would say the needs of the S energy?
Yeah, I think we covered the needs, the safety, time, and reassurance
My bad.
in the relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So no, my bad. Of course. So what's the reframe that the S can use?
So the steadiness is strong in consistency and care. So I guess the growth edge is boundaries, and clean self-expression is really important as well in that.
That's huge. I mean, we just covered that. I think that's what
Yeah.
we did. The more consistency you saw, and the more care you saw, it dropped the boundaries and clean expression. And on the D energy side, the more like softness I did, and the more I personalized it and asked how
Mm,
she was feeling and what she needed, we created the connection that was required. So which is beautiful. It's amazing. That's why I love this
it
stuff.
is.
I mean, as Victor Franklin says, it's a privilege of a lifetime to get to know thyself, and I'm privileged to have the opportunity to do so. So this is the one that's really sexy that I love. I can't wait to this section, which is the micro action that the listener can take away. So what's the
Yeah.
micro action that they can do, Val?
So if you're in the steadiness energy style, practice one boundary sentence today. I can do X. I can't do Y.
So if you're
And
speaking to an S,
yeah, if you're speaking, if you're, yeah, if you're, so that's if you're in the presence of an S, like if you're the S energy, sorry, practice one boundary sentence like I can do X, but I can't do Y. So it's about stop people pleasing and start looking after yourself and stop taking on extra work, I guess, around that.
yes, I
Um, that sentence. And if you're speaking to a steadiness person, slow down and explain change with care and time frames so they feel safe and seen and heard.
yeah, definitely it works, right? So,
Yeah.
and if you're a D energy, dominant energy, with an S, steady energy, don't call them slow. Sorry, Val. I might get annoyed. They might be projecting stability and trust, which is a performance advantage, like long term. So
Yeah.
quicker space, yeah.
Yeah. And now the influencer and steadiness are interesting together because they're both people focused, but the pace is different.
Yeah, so I is fast connections, S is steady connection.
Exactly. So I can feel the steadiness is distant. Like S can feel like the influencer is overwhelming as well. And both are trying to stay connected. So it's like a game you're playing with yourself because I am the S energy. So it's like, oh, do I need to slow down? Hang on, do I need to speed up? So it's about having the discernment about what you need in that moment. Um, so understanding yourself on that deeper level is really important.
Yeah. I think that's where the game is played, right?
Yeah.
So now we bring it back to the point. Extended disc doesn't help if it becomes a label or a threat or a judgment. It helps when it becomes a choice.
Yeah, 100%. And we want to also name the misuse. People use extended disc to justify their worst habits. Like we said in the last episode, I'm just an I, I'm just an S, but that's not maturity.
Hmm. Unless you're me and I'm a bit of a D, and it's okay if you all accept that. I've had to. Uh, you got to laugh about the things that people find,
Correct.
yeah, because it creates the space to move into it. It's laughter is definitely the doorway.
Yeah.
So it becomes a choice And we don't want to justify it, right? You were saying?
Yeah, yeah. So which means if you're the influencer energy, you don't get to say, "I'm scattered,"
Yeah, yeah.
or, you get to say, "I can anchor one next
Yeah.
step."
It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
maturity. Yeah, it's not emotionally fit. So like, we'll just put that line in the sand, right? We can
yeah.
start somewhere. So let's reframe that a little bit. I mean, we have the default. Your default is information. Your responsibility is choice.
Yep, correct. And like I just said, like, I don't get to say I'm scattered, right? Because that's not maturity. I get to say I can anchor one next step.
Ownership and accountability. So if you're S, you don't get to say I avoid conflict. You get to say I can practice boundaries. Like, oh my god, do you believe it? Yeah, yeah. All the S's are going. Can I? Where was I? I'll keep making myself laugh. That's my I energy. So a real life example. Real life examples just shows the I and the S is like a friction and then the fix. Is that
Yeah, yeah. So, like a scenario is the influencer wants to talk now, process out loud, and move quickly, but the steadiness wants time, um, and fewer emotional spikes. They don't like to feel that conflict and tension, and they want the steadiness.
yeah? Oh, yeah, and I get that because I experience S as distant.
Mm,
X. S experience I is overwhelming. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
yeah. And the emotional fitness move is naming needs without blame and making a shared plan as
So
well.
so important, right? So give the one line flex.
Yeah. So the influencer flexes by adding structure. I want to talk. Can we do it 15 minutes now? And then pause.
So S flexes by staying present, and naming the thing. I want to hear you. I need 10 minutes to settle. That then they can be like fully heard or fully felt, part of.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to name something. Sometimes the steadiness doesn't need 10 minutes, they need safety.
Yes, time is a path to safety, not avoidance. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes the influencer doesn't need to talk because they're dramatic. They need to connect. They need that contact to feel connected.
And that's the translation right there.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the gym rep is to spot your default energy in the last 24 hours and choose one flex behavior to try out.
Then think back under pressure. Did you talk more, seek connection, or lift energy?
Yeah.
Mm,
Or did you smooth, accommodate, withdraw, or keep the peace, which is the S energy?
yeah. So now choose one flex behavior. One, not excuse me, not a new personality, just one new flex behavior that you can try this week.
Yeah. And if your default was the influencer, add structure, one clear next step at a time.
And if your default was yes, the steady energy, at a boundary, one honest no, or one honest request.
Yeah. And it's important to be the listener and reflect in that.
So here's one question. Which energy do you default to under pressure? Is it the I influencer or the S steadiness? And what does it project? What, sorry, what does it protect?
Yeah.
Mm,
And question two, which of these energies do you judge in others? And what story are you making up?
mm. There's a bit of honesty there's required.
Yeah.
Three. What's one relationship where curiosity could change your whole week? Recap. So, exactly what are the three takeaways and one micro action, Valerie?
Yeah. So, takeaway one, extended disc is a behavioral preference, not identity labels.
Absolutely. And takeaway two, I and S energies both care about connection, but they pace it differently, and misunderstandings create the friction.
And takeaway three, emotional fitness is the capacity to flex consciously rather than defaulting.
And the micro action today, do one flex in the conversation. Uh, um, for the I's, add structure. And for the S, add a boundary.
And if you're loving this episode, we'll invite you to our next episode, um, which will be episode 4. And you can come along and listen to what we have to talk about next.
Because it's going to be the next part, which is where we go a deep fish helicopter ride over the emotional fitness formula framework and the 5 pillars that truly help you move from overwhelm into calmness. And it's the pathway from ambition into meaning. It's a beautiful model, and we can't wait to see you in the next episode. So take a breath.
And we'll see you in the gym. Yeah.